My condition's gotten worse. What do I do? Guys, okay, this is a great question. Comes up a lot. What happens if your service-connected disability has gotten worse? Well, you've got a couple of options, but the main one is to file another claim, 21-526-EZ, or if you go to the website and you have an online account with va.gov, you can file the claim for worsening. Now, the initial claim and the claim for worsening are both done on the same form, 21-526-EZ, as I just said, or on va.gov. Now, critically, if you disagree with the initial rating and your condition's always been bad as it is now, and the VA just never gotten the rating right, you can file an appeal, like a supplemental claim or a higher level review or an appeal to the Board of Veterans Appeals. What I recommend people do these days is because the VA is having a hard time figuring out their own forms. If you're filing a supplemental claim with, say, evidence that you've been to physical therapy recently, or maybe lay statements from yourself and your family members who've seen how much you've been suffering, write down on that supplemental claim form that you disagree with the initial date and that this is not a request for increase. Now, you shouldn't have to do that, but for some bizarre reason, the VA has been doing weird things with processing their forms, and I've even gotten a couple kicked back recently because I didn't specifically write on the form that we disagreed with it. So you totally don't have to do this, but sometimes it helps. So if you disagree with your initial rating or a subsequent rating and you want to file a supplemental claim with more evidence, you can do that using the supplemental claim and just noting on it that there's a disagreement with the initial rating. Let's talk about effective dates though. A lot of folks will have a condition that gets worse. They might not immediately think to file a new claim. Maybe they have the presence of mind to doing an intent to file to secure that effective date, but let's say their shoulder gets worse, right? They don't initially file anything to increase their rating, but 6 months go by and they go, you know what, this is not getting any better. So 6 months after their shoulder starts getting worse, they'll go on, they'll open the va.gov, they'll ask for a higher rating, and maybe the higher rating gets granted. Now, ordinarily, the date of that higher rating, the effective date, should be the date that you filed the request for increase. But there's actually a rule that allows, based on facts found, this is their language, that they can go back 1 year prior to that request for increase and give you an effective date prior to you even asking for it. So let's say those 6 months go by and you finally decide to file that request for increase. You can actually go in when you file your request for increase and write a note saying, I've had this flare up in my shoulder that has not gone away for the last 6 months, and here are all the things I can't do for the last 6 months because of my shoulder, right? Submit that with your claim, just on a statement of support of claim, and the effective date should go back up to a year depending on how long your shoulder has been worse off than the initial rating. Again, this is a distinction from disagreeing with the rating from the get-go, which is a supplemental claim. As I said, folks, this gets really complicated really quickly, but the bottom line is if your shoulder's getting worse or if another condition's getting worse, just drop an intent to file and make sure that you're keeping track of it, and then file your request for increase with the additional evidence that you might have so that the VA can adjudicate it properly. If the VA is giving you a wrong effective date or you think that they've improperly denied it or underrated you, please don't hesitate to reach out. But anyway, until next time, take care.